Scheer was an alternative metal band founded by PJ Doherty and Paddy Layden in 1990 in Derry, Ireland. Scheer is the Dutch word for shaved, but the band wasn't aware of that until they'd already taken the name. They discovered this odd fact later from a Dutch band they toured with who also informed them that it's a slang term for the Dutch equivalent of fuck off. PJ Doherty left eventually and Scheer teamed in 1991. The band gained members from two Northern Ireland towns only 9 miles apart. Guitarist Neil Calderwood, singer Audrey Gallagher, drummer Joe Bates, bassist Peter Fleming, and guitarist Paddy Layden had similar self-sufficient, uncompromising views about their careers. They didn't want to move to London where the odds of being discovered were higher. They wanted to stay in their homeland, playing anywhere anyone wanted to listen and recording at their own pace. Audrey, Neil, and Paddy were friends together at college before they joined the band, all at different times, all from different bands. They started rehearsing together in 1991 and recorded their first single, Wish You Were Dead, in 1993. In 1 year, they played more than 100 gigs just in Ireland. While it's hard to pin down where the Scheer sound comes from, Neil is very upfront about his musical influences: Black Sabbath, Thin Lizzy, AC/DC, Stones, Stone Temple Pilots, Helmet, and Soundgarden. A casual listen will produce a variety of comparisons. The similarities to the Cranberries are inevitably brought up due to Audrey's vocal style and the band's Irish roots, but some have gone so far as to liken their sound to bands like Nirvana or Guns N' Roses. The raw energy of Scheer's early performances eventually attracted the attention of Sun, a small independent Irish label where the band got their start. They released their debut single, Wish You Were Dead, in late 1993, and the Psychobabble EP later on in 1994, during their time with Sun Records. After building a local following, the band began to feel like they were about to break through. Some mutual friends convinced U2 manager Paul McGuinness to attend one of Scheer's early gigs at the Bagot Inn in Dublin. Band members knew Paul would be there and wanted to impress him. Neil Calderwood remembers, "That was definitely the worst gig ever for us, a complete turning point. Things had been going quite well because we had a development deal with Sun Records, and they thought for sure Paul McGuinness would like us, and we thought, no problem, this is our big step up. We were far too cocky about it." McGuinness called them mediocre and derivative. Calderwood said McGuinness was right, but rather than giving up, Scheer doubled down. After that experience with McGuinness, Calderwood said, "We were completely gutted. We thought for sure we had it in the bag. We bounced back though, and we were never going to let that happen again. It's the best thing that ever happened to us. I don't think we've really played a bad gig since." As a result of McGuinness's rejection, the band rallied and put in a lot of work further developing and fine-tuning their sound. The first time they played for Ivo Watts Russell, 4AD founder and CEO, was at Brownie's in NYC's East Village. They played their electric set, which undoubtedly woke the whole block up, and then went around the corner to Sin E, where Ivo heard their acoustic stuff stripped down and soft. After these two sets, Ivo immediately approached the band about making an album. They signed a deal with 4AD, distributed by Warner, in 1995, released the Schism EP, and then set to work on what would become their debut album, Infliction. The recording process began with the band recruiting famed PJ Harvey producer Head to produce the album. We chatted with him, and he seemed to have the same attitude, that he wanted us to create our own record and be as creative as we wanted to without so much control from him, Calderwood said. He did all the engineering and told us what we could and couldn't do physically and technically. As far as ideas went, it was completely up to us. We experimented a lot. The experimentation with loud guitar sounds resulted in the pair receiving complaints about the excessive noise from residents near the studio. "I like to have a lot of amps going at once," Calderwood said. "It was a big proper BBC studio with walls a few feet thick and soundproofing, but we were asked to stop recording by 6 o'clock at night. The owner said, 'I don't understand why you need these big amps.' He just didn't understand the concept of getting an amp and whacking it up to get the best sound out of it. After that, we went to a factory in London. We really added a lot more to the songs and ended up getting the album that we wanted." Infliction was released in 1996 to critical acclaim. The cover is one of the things that initially drew me into the album. It features a rather gruesome close-up of a newly stitched up surgical wound. I later found out that the wound is on a dog, and the back cover features a close-up of a dog's nipple. The band chose these pictures from a series that Vaughn Oliver of V23 had shown them. The echoes of prog rock and metal in Scheer's crashing rhythm guitars set the band apart from many of their alt-rock counterparts. From the immensity of tracks like openers Shea and Howling Boy to the painful minimalism of more somber tracks like Baby Size and Goodbye, Scheer proved themselves a force to be reckoned with, matching word with music in an album full of bright, melodic beauty wrapped in dark, haunting imagery. Based on the strength of Infliction's two singles, Wish You Were Dead in particular, the album gained the band notable recognition and a small cult following. Audrey Gallagher's shimmering vocals, surrounded by the loud interwoven guitar work of Neil and Patty, had begun to strike a chord with international audiences. Scheer was a band that seemed to be poised for greatness. "You may think we just signed to 4AD and have an album out just like that in America," Calderwood said. "It may seem like an overnight thing, but it's not like that. We've been together since '91. We've done our apprenticeship, so to speak. We've paid our dues." With a critically acclaimed album under their belt, at the top of their game, Scheer played across the world with bands like Korn, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Bush, Placebo, Throwing Muses, the Jesus and Mary Chain, and more. At one point, the band even did a televised interview in Russia to an audience of over 100 million. But the band also created a wealth of resentment for longtime 4AD purists who felt that Scheer didn't match with the aesthetics of what the label was about. The band didn't let it bother them though. Neil had never even heard of 4AD until Eva wanted to sign his band, saying, "I don't feel like I'm on this label that has such a mystique about it. It's just a label to me, but I realize how much it means to other people." When the band was asked about music of their era in 1996, Neil said he would bring back early 80s heavy metal like Twisted Sister. "Even ZZ Top?" the interviewer asked. "Oh yeah," he says. When the band was asked what they thought of the all-encompassing alternative moniker, they said that they're fine with it, but they consider themselves simply a rock band. Alternative in the States just means you're a rock band. In the UK it means Peel Sessions, more obscure music. The recording of Scheer's second album began in 1997, but due to a contractual disagreement with 4AD, the release was postponed indefinitely. Relations with 4AD became increasingly strained and uneasy, due, according to 4AD, to the fact Scheer were an unabashed heavy metal group, not exactly a typical 4AD genre. This statement proved positive that the label did not truly understand the band. Scheer left 4AD in August 1998 to start their own record label, Schism Records, but the group officially broke up in October of 1998. Scheer's members had decided to continue on with their individual solo projects. The band's last full-length record, the aptly titled And Finally, appeared posthumously in mid-2000, released independently via their Schism Records label. Audrey Gallagher has continued to work in the music business, finding success as an EDM trance vocalist. And Neil Calderwood owns his own recording studio, Manor Park Studios.
Thank you.